How the brain creates the illusion of time. Time. We take it for granted, like a steady river carrying us from the past to the future, a flow we can't seem to stop. It feels like time exists outside of us, independent of our awareness. But listen closely, and you'll realize that the flow of time is primarily an experience crafted by our brains. It's a clever, intricate illusion woven from billions of moments of perception, memory, and anticipation. Now, here's something that might blow your mind. Physicists have been saying since the 19th century that at the level of elementary particles, time doesn't actually flow. There's no preferred direction in the laws of nature. The past and future are equal. This means our very sense of time is a construct of our minds. As Albert Einstein once noted, the distinction between past, present, and future is only an illusion, albeit a very persistent one. But how exactly does the brain conjure up this persistent illusion? To answer that, we need to dive into the very essence of perception. And if you are intrigued by what you hear, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and hit that notification bell so you don't miss any of our future explorations into the fascinating world of science. Ever looked at a clock and felt like the second hand pauses for a fraction of a second? That's the first trick our consciousness plays on us. Scientists call it the stopped clock illusion. When our brain receives a new visual stimulus, it delays perception to have time to build a complete picture of what's happening. Everything we perceive, sound, light, touch, arrives at different speeds. But the brain needs to combine all of this into a single cohesive frame. So in each moment, it's not so much recording reality as it is reproducing a slightly edited version of it. Our hippocampus, that ancient part of the brain responsible for memory, plays the starring role in this performance. It decides what becomes a memory and what vanishes forever. Research shows that if events are saturated with novelty, if every moment is filled with surprises, the brain will stretch the memory, creating the feeling of a long, rich period of time. But if your days are monotonous, memory compresses them into a tight ball, and a month can feel like a minute. Think back to your last trip to a new city. The first few days were packed. New streets, faces, smells, tastes. It felt like a whole week passed in a single day. But then, as you got used to it, time sped up, and the days started to slip away. This is how the fundamental paradox of time perception manifests itself. The richness of experience slows down subjective time, while routine accelerates it. British neurologist David Eagleman once conducted a fascinating experiment. Volunteers were dropped from a special net at a great height to simulate freefall. Afterward, all the participants claimed that time seemed to slow down during the fall. But the slowdown didn't occur in real-time perception. It happened in memory. In that extreme situation, the brain recorded more details per unit of time, and based on those memories, the fall seemed longer than it actually was. Our brains don't live in the present, but in a slight lag of the past. Everything we perceive is a version of reality delayed by about 1/20th of a second. We're never truly in real time. Yet our minds are so skilled at connecting millions of signals that they create the illusion of a seamless flow of life. In the early 20th century, philosopher Henri Bergson wrote about two types of time: the time of physical clocks and the time of inner experience, la durée. Real life, according to Bergson, isn't linear and doesn't follow a strict sequence. It stretches, contracts, shimmers, like the living fabric of consciousness. And it's the brain that makes this dance possible. Stories from people in extreme situations often confirm this fluidity. One elderly sailor recounted how, on a stormy night on the brink of death, he lived an entire life in just a few minutes, sifting through faces, smells, and words in his memory. At moments like those, the hippocampus and amygdala in the brain are maximally activated, creating a rich, vivid tapestry of experiences. So if time is an illusion, can we learn to control it? The answer is yes. And if you're finding this exploration of the brain and time fascinating, let us know in the comments below. What are your experiences with time perception? Have you ever felt time slow down or speed up in unusual circumstances? We'd love to hear your stories. One way to do it is to fill each day with new impressions. Learn to look at familiar streets as if you're seeing them for the first time. Seek complexity in the simple. Take unusual routes, try new tastes, ask yourself questions you've never sought answers to before. The more novelty you introduce, the longer your days will seem in memory. Another practice is slow observation. Stop. Feel how the air touches your skin, how light falls on your hands, how sounds weave into the fabric of the city. This process activates the sensory cortex of the brain and the hippocampus, increasing the density of perception. Scientific research shows that people who practice this kind of slow immersion in the present moment feel like they live longer, more intensely, more fully. When we pay attention to the moment, time opens up before us like an endless garden. Here's another important observation. Anxiety and stress distort our perception of time. When we're afraid, minutes drag on painfully. When we're depressed, they slip away. Evolutionarily, this makes sense. When in danger, the brain slows down perception to give us more time to react. But in today's world, filled with information overload, this can become a trap. That's why exercises to calm the mind are so important for working with time. A simple practice is square breathing. Inhale for 4 counts, hold for 4, exhale for 4, hold for 4. This rhythm stabilizes the autonomic nervous system and helps us regain control over our perception of time. And yet, no matter how hard we try, the illusion of time will never completely disappear. It's intertwined with our ability to remember, dream, and plan. Without it, there would be no stories, no art, no science. Maybe the goal isn't to destroy the illusion, but to become its wise architect. There's an old Japanese proverb, "He who chases time loses both day and night. He who follows the heart lives eternity in one breath." Imagine, every moment is a pearl on an invisible thread of consciousness. We string them ourselves, we create the patterns that we later call life. An elderly writer once said in an interview, "My longest years were those in which I lived in dreams of the future or regrets about the past. The shortest were when I simply was." Perhaps the secret to time management isn't about speeding up events or chasing new achievements, but about the ability to immerse yourself in the simple moments that life gives us. Feel the warmth of a cup in your palms. Hear the pause between notes. Notice how the light changes outside the window. And then, perhaps, the illusion of time will become not a cage, but wings. Sometimes it seems like time is a straight line along which we move forward. But if you look closely, it becomes clear that it's more like a spiral, where the past, present, and future are intertwined, echoing and reflecting in each other. Our brain builds this spiral using the mechanisms of memory, prediction, and interpretation. In recent decades, neuroscientists have uncovered a surprising fact. The brain is constantly modeling the immediate future. Every split second, it creates predictions based on past experience to react quickly to possible events. This ability to predict makes our very sense of time possible. As neuroscience professor Jeff Hawkins wrote, "The brain is a prediction machine. Consciousness is a reflection of the machine at work." Paradoxically, we experience the present only because our brain endlessly anticipates, connecting tiny lags of perception into the illusion of continuity. The present isn't a point, it's a process of building a bridge between memory and expectation. There's a subtle exercise that allows you to touch this secret. Stop for a moment and ask yourself, what am I predicting right now? You'll notice that even in the calmest moment, your mind is imperceptibly preparing for the next sound, movement, or event. Mindful observation of this flow of predictions allows us to feel how deeply our illusion of time is permeated with expectation. Stories from people who have experienced great loss or profound transformation often confirm this. When we experience strong emotional events, we seem to fall through the ordinary flow of time. Minutes stretch out, hours turn into endless experiences. At the same time, research shows that at moments like these, the so-called default mode network of the brain is activated, a system of areas associated with self-reflection, memories, and dreams. When a person is immersed in deep self-reflection, their perception of time changes. The past and future begin to dance around them, creating a sense of eternity or the complete loss of time. In the mid-20th century, philosopher Martin Heidegger argued that man doesn't exist in time, but as time itself. According to Heidegger, human existence is about projecting oneself into the future, rethinking the past, and creating meaning in the present. We're not just observers of time, we're its authors. To learn to live in harmony with this reality, it's helpful to master another practice: conscious recollection. Choose one event from your past, happy, sad, or neutral, and try to relive it, but from a position of self-compassion. Notice how the perception of time within that memory changes. Research shows that such conscious recollection of the past changes the functioning of the hippocampus, strengthening emotional regulation and reducing stress levels. Old memories aren't static frames. Each time we recall them, the brain rewrites them anew, taking into account our current state and new knowledge. This process is called memory reconsolidation, and that's where the possibility of inner healing lies. By working with the past consciously, we can change the emotional imprints it left. One person's story illustrates this especially vividly. A young musician suffered from stage fright for years, rooted in an unpleasant incident in childhood. But when he started working with a psychologist, they recreated that moment step by step in a safe environment, changing the interpretation of what happened. Gradually, the fear dissolved. The musician didn't erase the memory of the event. He rewrote his attitude toward it. Time, which had shackled him for so long, was freed. This ability to rewrite our internal pictures of time is a gift that each of us possesses. It's important to remember that the past isn't carved in stone. It's alive, mobile, like water. We can interact with it, heal it, and wisely build a foundation for the future from it. There's another important pattern. The deeper a person is involved in an activity, the less they feel the flow of time. Psychologist Mihaly Csikszentmihalyi called this a state of flow, complete immersion, where the boundaries of the I dissolve and time disappears. Flow occurs when the task is complex enough to be exciting, but not so difficult as to cause anxiety. Each of us can create more moments of flow in our lives. Find activities that make you lose track of time: music, drawing, sports, writing. Do them regularly. Research shows that the more often a person experiences states of flow, the higher their life satisfaction and sense of time being full. When we live in the flow, we stop being prisoners of the clock. We become creators of our own temporal reality. And if you found this content helpful, please consider sharing it with your friends and family. The more people who understand the science of time perception, the better equipped we all are to live more fulfilling lives. And perhaps this is one of the deepest secrets to happiness. Not in the number of years lived, not in the plans fulfilled, but in the ability to live each moment as if eternity were concentrated within it. When a child laughs on a swing, they don't think about time. When lovers gaze at each other, the clock stops. When an old man in the garden cares for his flowers, he dissolves into a world without a future or a past. Only here, only now, only in this endless drop of reality do we truly live. But why, despite this opportunity to be in the flow, do we so often feel time as a heavy burden? Why do many of us talk about losing time, killing time, racing against time? The answer lies in the peculiarities of the prefrontal cortex. This area is responsible for planning, decision-making, and self-reflection. It's thanks to it that we can make long-term plans, and it's also what makes us hostage to constant comparison. Where we could have been, what we should have done, what we didn't have time to achieve. Psychological research shows that the more a person gets stuck in thoughts about the future or regrets about the past, the more anxious and uncomfortable they feel. The paradox is that in the desire to control time, we lose the ability to live it. Wisdom lies not in abandoning plans, but in seeing them as living structures, not frozen dogmas. Wisdom is in the ability to build a road, but not to confuse it with life itself. The philosopher Seneca wrote 2,000 years ago, "We do not have little time, we waste it. Life is long if it is used correctly. To regain the feeling of the fullness of time, there's a simple but powerful practice. Every day, set aside a few minutes to ground yourself in the present. This could be observing your breath, taking a conscious walk without your phone, paying attention to the taste of food, or contemplating the sunset. These small rituals act as anchors, tying our consciousness to reality. The story of one woman shows the power of this approach. Working as a top manager in a large company, she was used to living in endless anticipation of the future. Complete a project, get a promotion, then there will be happiness. But when she was diagnosed with a serious illness, time began to flow differently. She recalls, "For the first time, I realized that each day isn't a step toward something greater. It is life." Several years passed, the illness receded, and with it, the illusion of an endless race disappeared. She changed the rhythm of her life. Less fuss, more attention to simple joys, and for the first time, she felt truly happy. The brain, of course, will try to build models of the future again. That's its nature. But we can be aware of these processes without allowing them to absorb all our attention. Neuroscientist David Eagleman noted that the perception of time is directly related to the amount of new information we receive. In childhood, when everything around us is new, every day seems long. In adulthood, when routine wins, the years fly by unnoticed. Therefore, one way to stretch the feeling of life is to regularly create new experiences for yourself. Learn new skills, change routes, meet new people. Novelty revives the perception of time. The brain begins to record more information, and the subjective length of life increases. Imagine two people. One takes the same route to work for 10 years in a row, eats the same dishes, and communicates with the same colleagues. The other, for the same 10 years, travels, learns new languages, and changes hobbies. Their passports will show the same age, but their internal perception of the time lived will be strikingly different. Want to slow down time? Start filling your life with new colors. This doesn't mean you need to constantly strive for extreme sports or destroy the foundations. Sometimes small changes are enough. Reading new books, listening to unfamiliar music, changing the usual order of things. Another important facet of the illusion of time is manifested in the connection between emotions and memory. Research has shown that emotionally charged events are remembered more vividly and create a feeling of expanded time. Therefore, moments of love, fear, and inspiration leave us with a feeling of a rich, fulfilling life. When we allow ourselves to feel deeply, we live life more fully. It may seem strange, but it's conscious work with emotions that helps create a brighter, slowly flowing experience of time. Observing your emotions in the moment, without resistance or judgment, makes events multidimensional. Fear ceases to be just pain. It becomes an exploration of boundaries. Joy ceases to be fleeting. It turns into deep gratitude. In the practice of developing inner balance and wisdom, a special place is occupied by working with forgiveness, both for yourself and for others. After all, a frozen feeling of guilt or resentment keeps us in the past, preventing us from moving forward. Working with forgiveness is releasing the knots of time within us. There's an ancient technique you can use. In the evening before going to bed, mentally thank the day you've lived, let go of grievances, and accept the imperfection of what happened. This simple practice harmonizes the perception of time, strengthens inner balance, and allows you to feel more and more at ease in the flow of life each day. We can't ignore another phenomenon discovered by psychologists, the first time effect. When we do something for the first time, our perception of time slows down. That's why in childhood, summer seems endless. Every day is filled with discoveries. In adulthood, new first times become a rarity, and we slide into automatism. What can you do? Learn something new at least once a month. Travel, even if it's just to a neighboring area of your city. Cook new dishes. Explore new routes. Keep a diary of small discoveries. Each new impression becomes an anchor in the river of time, preventing you from getting lost in the monotony of days. And one more thing, It's been observed that people who keep gratitude journals experience their lives as subjectively longer and richer. Focusing on small joys literally revives the perception of time. When we write in the evening, "Today I heard a beautiful song, saw a rainbow, felt the aroma of coffee," we teach our brains to notice the details and appreciate the moments. And where there's value in the moment, an anxious rush disappears, and eternity appears here and now. At heart, each of us knows that we can't stop time, but we can change how we experience it. We can live like winds driven through the days, always in a hurry, always late. Or we can live like gardeners, carefully cultivating every moment with love and attention. And yet, even understanding the nature of the illusion of time, we find ourselves falling into its traps again and again. It seems like the present eludes us, and the future either threatens us with the unknown or beckons us with paved dreams. Why does this happen? The answer, again, lies in the workings of our brains. The reward system, which controls motivation through dopamine, continuously pushes us forward, to the next goal, to a new reward. The brain teaches us to believe that happiness is somewhere later. But if happiness is always tomorrow, then today turns out to be impaired. Philosopher Alan Watts once said, "Life is the music that needs to be danced to, not the project that needs to be completed." But in our perception of time, another melody sounds too often, a march toward unknown success. To break free from this enchanted circle, an effort is required, not a struggle, but observation. Imagine a river. It flows regardless of your desire. You can try to stop it with your hands and get tired. You can try to overtake the flow and drown in excitement. Or you can learn to swim in the stream, trusting the water and your movements. It's the same with time. The art of living is the art of being in its stream, not against it. A wise man who lived in solitude in the mountains for many years said that the key was simple. He asked himself 3 questions every day. What did I feel today? What did I see that was new today? What can I let go of today? These questions helped him not get lost in illusions. They returned him to reality, to time, to breathing, to life. You can try to introduce this ritual into your own practice. Record your answers in the evening in a notebook. In a month, you'll notice that your perception of the days is changing. They become not just lines on a calendar, but living stories. There's another amazing pattern. The perception of time is associated with our ability to forgive the past. Resentment, frozen in memory, clamps down on the flow of the present like a stone. Just as old branches interfere with the growth of a new tree, so too do the unlived emotions of the past steal moments of joy. Psychotherapeutic studies have shown that people who practice releasing resentment subjectively feel an increase in vital energy and a slowdown in the running time. They worry less about the future and feel the taste of the current moment. How do you do it? Sometimes it's enough to mentally say, "I admit that it was painful, but I choose to move on." This isn't about justifying the offender. It's about caring for yourself, about respecting your own life. Psychologists have also found that emotional regulation is directly related to the hippocampus, that very structure in the brain that's involved in the formation of memories and in time orientation. The better we can understand and live our emotions, the more flexible and precise our memory works, and the freer we can move through time. You can imagine that every day we've lived leaves a trace in our consciousness. Some traces are light, like a dance on the water. Others are heavy, like frozen concrete. Our task isn't to reject the traces, but to observe them, to clean them, and to release them in order to remain alive. Once in an interview, an old sailor said a wonderful phrase: "When you go to the open sea, you can't cling to the shore. You need to trust the wind."